As Australia continues to battle for the introduction of an R18 rating for video games, public attitudes remain positive towards a change in classification law to accommodate for sexually explicit and otherwise violent video games. We go to the public to ask the question, do you think we should introduce an R18 rating for video games?
So, I would think that it probably would be a good idea to have 18, well, depending on what it is, how violent or graphics it may be. I think if there's restrictions on movies and on other things that we try to protect only from perhaps video games, should have also, if not even more so, because they're getting somehow emotionally connected and involved in the game.
Well, I suppose the rating's probably better at 10s. But yeah, I suppose it would help a bit. Not all would stop the kids playing for it and make it a violent game. But yeah, you know, I'm playing Call of Duty and stuff like that, you get like 10-year-old and stuff like that, smart enough. What are you playing a game for, you know? So yeah, I suppose it's appropriate to a certain age. I don't know how big of an impact it really have.
I actually thought there was an R18, but obviously not. So I would like an R18. Why? Stopping young kids having access to violence.
So what is it about an R18 rating that would stop them having access?
Well, one would hope they wouldn't be able to buy R18 without parents' consent, and then it's over to the parents doing it if they want to do something as stupid as that. I think in our society, when a rating is put on goods, we're taking the word of someone who would be qualified in making that rating. Therefore, I think the assumption is there it's not suitable.
Well, I think it's good for a number of reasons. For gamers, it's a positive thing because it allows them to, especially adult gamers, it allows them to play video games that have recently been either banned or, well, yeah, basically banned. Another thing, it allows games that have been pushed into the MA15 plus category, when they are worthy of an R18 plus rating, they end up getting pushed into the MA15 plus rating because they're not worthy of being banned, because they're not either violent enough or sexual enough. So 15-year-olds get their hands on content which isn't suitable for their age group. Also, an R18 rating, of course, is going to open up for more Australian developers to develop more, they have less restrictions to, when it comes to developing games. I think it's better to have an R18 rating so that we can classify games properly. There are violent games out there that are obviously just too violent, they're to a ridiculous point. There will be games that still need to be banned because it's not suitable for anyone. But an R18 rating doesn't mean that games are too violent. It doesn't mean that extremely violent games will get in, it just means games that are suitable for an adult audience only will get in, not games that are entirely over the top violent.
I feel there should be an R18 classification just because I know games like Grand Theft Auto are really rated R overseas, but over here we can get them at M15 plus, and really they are meant to be for adults just because of the content in some of these games are quite violent, as well as contain a lot of swearing and language that kids can pick up. I feel that we should have an R18 classification just to kind of protect the youth. I know I've got my nephew and he's always playing on my Xbox and my Wii and everything, and I always censor the games that what I have that are appropriate for him, not because what's easier for him to play, but also what I think's appropriate for his age level. A lot of parents don't know that really a lot of games out on the market that are rated M are actually rated R18 overseas, and that you actually have to show your ID to purchase these games. But parents have no clue that this content is actually quite inappropriate for their children to actually play. So having an R18 classification will give them a better idea of what they should and shouldn't purchase for their children.
Rhian from Monash University.